So as we know, the typical sprint length is 2 weeks, which gives you 10 working days inside of a 2-week sprint. And when you have a bunch of teams collaborating together, the things they're building are larger. So for a team, you want to get fast feedback. They're going to build their user stories. You'll get that feedback, every week, every couple of weeks. For the larger features that we're delivering to market that require multiple teams collaborating together, we typically call these items features. They could be called other things. I'm publishing an article this week that talks about work breakdown structures. You'll be familiar with it because I've spoken about it with you, but it'll just be a good reference point for you to memorize this stuff. So I'll send that out to the group when it comes out. But the thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about whether you're dealing with a team or 5, 6, 7 teams collaborating together towards a strategic goal, or an entire organization that functions on an annual cadence, there are these 5 basic things that they're always doing. They're always coming up with ideas. They're always planning the execution of how they're going to implement the ideas. They need to coordinate the work, which at the team level is pretty easy. You just have a daily stand-up meeting. You're dealing with, 7 or 8 people. It's not a problem. You get to the team of teams level, and then suddenly you're dealing potentially with 100+ people. So it can become a little bit more difficult. And we talked about the Scrum of Scrums meeting and how that works briefly in the last session, but we'll go into detail today. Then you want to retrospect, see how you can improve, and you want to review your work. So when you're dealing with a scaled cadence, these things happen less frequently. Each person's individual experience is what the upper left is, right? Like, my hands are cold. I am feeling happy about being here today. I'm hungry. Those are things that are happening. They're in my experience. They're internal, which means they're invisible unless you can read it in my behavior, which shows up on the upper right, or I tell you. When we look at our relationship together, right, how our relationship feels, that's something that we're experiencing together. We might not be all experiencing the same thing, but there's a kind of a collective vibe, like this group has vibed as a team. We kind of know each other now. We're a lot easier and looser with each other. We can joke around a little bit. Nothing like what it was, a few months ago when we first started. Now that feeling, that internal feeling of whatever we feel like as a team, when you go up to the team of teams, that becomes the upper left, right? Because now we're at a different level. We're up here. The way the team's collective consciousness is the upper left. From the individual perspective, that's the lower left. Then the lower left for the team becomes the relationship with other teams. Does that make sense? Any questions?